right, good evening. Tonight we're talking about oils with kids. So this is, of course, a subject I know a little bit about, just a little. We've got 4 little ones, 7 and under. And so I have been using essential oils on them for quite a while. I've been using oils on them now through 3 of my 4 pregnancies, and so 3 of my 4 children from infancy up until how old they are now. So I feel very, very comfortable using the essential oils on my kids since they were very little, infants in the hospital. Frankincense was the very first oil that I ever used on our children. As soon as I delivered and had my skin to skin, I had already made a roller bottle of frankincense and balance, and I just did 1 drop of each of those in a 10 milliliter roller bottle. And I filled the rest up with fractionated coconut oil, and I just rubbed a tiny, tiny amount on the bottom of those infant feet and massaged it in with my fingers, with my thumbs. And that is just to help bring balance to the body. Birth can sometimes be traumatic, things can happen, and it's a very bonding experience. And of course, we know that oils are really good for our cells, right? They really support our cells. And so that's something that was really important to me as I was delivering and having children. So why do we need natural solutions for our kids? Well, lots of reasons, right? Number 1, a big one for me when I got into this was that medicines are being recalled all the time, right? We hear news reports, all of these things of medicines always being recalled. Well, don't give your kids any more cough medicine. Well, don't give your kids, this or that. And you never know what to trust. You never know what could be good or what could be, harmful for your kids. So that was something that really attracted me to wanting to use the oils pretty much exclusively with our kids. And, doctors are really aware of the dangers of over-medicating. They're really aware of it. And so doctors are getting more and more on board with this kind of thinking, right? Where we're trying to do preventative and natural things first and using medications and antibiotics as a second line of defense. So oils and natural things are our first line, and then we would move to medicines and antibiotics as our second line. So if we haven't been able to take care of an issue first naturally, then we can move on to something else, right? Instead of always jumping to just, if your kid has a sniffle or a cough, you just jump in the doctor's office where all the sick people are, right? So it's a little bit of a different way of thinking, but it's a very empowered way of thinking. So that's what led me more into a natural mindset as well. And it's also teaching our kids about how to support their bodies. My children know what they need now. My 7-year-old, she knows when she needs lavender. She knows when she needs breathe. She knows when she needs specific oils because she is empowered in her own body and knows what to reach for. In fact, she even knows what to give me. I had a situation recently where David was out of town, my husband, and I had a moment where I kind of lost it. I was alone. There was a lot of noise. There was lots of screaming and fighting and, all the great things that happen when you're alone with your kids for, extended amount of time. It was also a snow day. And I lost it, and Lily, my 7-year-old, she ran into the bathroom and she grabbed peace oil. That's an emotional oil to bring peace and calming for the emotions and help you to gather yourself. She brought it to me and she goes, "Mommy, use this oil. This is for you." And she had me sit down. She applied it on me. She had me smell it. She did all the things that I would do for her, and she was doing it for me because she knew exactly what I needed. And I was so grateful for her in that moment that she really helped her mommy calm down and be able to get with the program, right? So that I could take care of my kids. So it's teaching them something. It's teaching them a new way of thinking, and that is wonderful, and that's giving them tools that they're going to use for the rest of their lives, right? So are oils safe for kids? Yes, they absolutely are safe. Key here is that you want to be using a pure brand, right? You want to be looking really closely into the company that you go with, especially when you're using these on your babies and your kiddos, right? You want to look for proper dilution. We dilute the oils on children, right? And we use much less oil. For an adult, you might use anywhere between 1 and 4 drops. For a child, it's 1, maybe 2 drops if they're a little bit older, like toddler age, but 1 if they're babies, and always diluted. And for babies and toddlers, I really like making roller bottles. I think it's more effective that way. I will use it more, right? And it's also something that saves me money because I'm saving my oil. And it's something that it's right at my fingertips. So I always have those roller bottles. I can put them in the diaper bag, I can put them in backpacks, anything that we need. It's right there. I can grab it and roll it on feet, tummies, the spine, chest, whatever. So dilution is super, super important. Children have very small bodies and they have sensitive skin, much more sensitive than ours. So we want to be mindful of that. Oils are completely safe. We just have to use them correctly, right, to get the best effect in the body. So also we use common sense. So we never want to put oils up our kid's nose. And I have to say these things sounds kind of crazy because people have actually done them. Okay, so never put them up the nose, in the eyes, inside the ears, right? Those are not things that we want to do. So I say that because if you look on the internet, you'll see stories, and people will say, no, lavender is bad for children, or not lavender, eucalyptus is bad for children, or lavender actually helps makes little boys grow chests, all of this information out there, and all of it's not true, especially if you're using a pure brand. And, yeah, eucalyptus probably wouldn't be good for a child if you put it up their nose on a Q-tip. Probably not a good idea. But we know that, right? If you're educated and you know that information, you know that we're not going to do that. So, they're very safe. How do we use them? Topically, always diluted, right? 1 to 2 drops. We apply it on the feet, the chest, the spine. We diffuse. It's very, very safe to diffuse the oils. The only thing that we don't want to do, again, goes back to common sense, we're not going to diffuse and put the baby's face right in the diffuser, right? Or diffuse and the diffuser's going right down into the baby's crib or the child's bed. Having a diffuser in the room and diffusing while the child is sleeping or napping or just in the living room, totally fine. In fact, I would encourage you to do it. Right? All right. And then, of course, internal use. I don't use oils internally on little children. That's really just for older kids. Okay? And that would be if I wanted to make a little syrup for them to ease some coughing or sore throats, things like that. I would use it then. Or if I was going to flavor something for them, like flavoring yogurt, I often do for my older children. I'll just put like 1 drop of a citrus oil in there. Or my daughter, who's 7, she likes to drink tea in the morning. It helps to open up her airways and soothe her throat. So she does 1 drop of lemon and some honey in her green tea every morning. She's very religious about that. In fact, she does it herself. So, and she knows exactly how to pour the oil in. So it just gets 1 drop. She's meticulous. So, for babies, 1 drop, maybe 2 in that 10 ml roller for immune support. My favorite oils for baby is Melaleuca, lemon, arbor vitae, and frankincense. Those are super gentle, and you just put 1 drop of each of those in your roller, okay, and roll that on baby's feet when you get baby dressed in the morning and when you put baby in jammies. Now, I did that with all of my kids because when I was having more babies, I had kids already starting school, kindergarten and things, and they would, of course, bring germs home if we were out and about at the park and things like that. I just wanted to protect and boost that immune system. And so I did that. For respiratory support, because babies' noses are like so small. Their little nostrils are like, they're smaller than little like pencil erasers. And so they have a hard time breathing sometimes. So I like cardamom, I like eucalyptus, I like lemon are those more gentle ones that I go to first. And then I'll go with Breathe. And Breathe I use very, very diluted because it does have peppermint in it, and peppermint's a strong oil, okay? But it's in a blend with Breathe, and so I feel much more comfortable using that. I just use it very diluted and just rub a little tiny bit on the chest, on the spine, and then I might put it in the diffuser wherever the child is. For tummy troubles, if baby's having just upset tummy, crying, very upset, never fun for mom and dad, then we want to go towards wild orange and lavender first. Okay, make a roller bottle of that, and that's to be rubbed around the belly button a few times. So, you know, with oils, we use them a few times in a row. It's not just one time and see what's going on. You might need to use it a few times, spaced, 20, 30 minutes apart, to help the body, right? To help what's going on, to support what's happening. If that isn't giving you the what you're wanting, right, the effect that you're wanting, then you can go to Digestin, and I recommend 1 drop of Digestin in that roller, because Digestin has peppermint in it as well, and rub that around the belly button and the feet, and I usually like to do that at diaper changes and at feedings, okay? Soothing, so just an unhappy child, unhappy baby, right? We want to go for serenity and balance. We want to go for lavender and Roman chamomile and peace and console. All those blends are really nice to have to put on the baby, or put it on you, like on the back of your neck, and hold the baby. I have done that a few times. I work in our church nursery sometimes, and what's funny is they kind of call me the baby whisperer sometimes, because when I hold the babies, they calm down. And it's not that I'm doing anything, but that I'm always wearing my oils, right? I always put on, if I know I'm working with babies, I always go for lavender or serenity. Something like that would just be calming and soothing for them, and it works like a charm. So you can do that too. For teething, we are really dealing with this with our son, who is 22 months, and he's getting the back ones, and it's intense. And so I use lavender along his jawline, just diluted, and you just roll that roller up and down your kid's jawline, and then massage it in. And he immediately looks at me like, wow, Mom, this is, he likes it. He likes me massaging that on, and he calms down pretty quickly. For something a little more aggressive, I would do this with Everett. I wouldn't do this with someone under, very little, like under 6 months, but you can dilute clove. And I get these little glass jars, and I fill it with coconut oil, and I do the regular cooking coconut oil for this one. And I'll melt it, and I'll put like a drop or 2 of clove in there and mix it around with my finger, and then let it solidify. And that is my teething paste, right? So I'll take that, I'll rub my finger in there, and then I'll rub it on the gums of the baby. And it does a great job of helping to just numb the gums and take that pain away for a little bit, which is nice, right? All right, diaper spray. If you have a child in diapers, you will deal with diaper rash at one point or another. And so it's really helpful to make a spray. So you can use your fractionated coconut oil for this. And you're going to put frankincense and lavender and melaleuca in there. And just shake it all up, and just keep it with you in your diaper bag, and then you just spray the diaper area, and then put the diaper back on. And that has served me many a time. It's very easy, and it's very, very gentle. Okay? Diffusing. Diffuse On Guard and Lemon and Serenity and Breathe. Those are all great things to be diffusing around your kids. Okay? So let's talk about some supplements. So my children, every day they get doTERRA's A to Z supplement. This is like the Lifelong Vitality Pack that we take as adults. That's like this, and that's the kid version. This is the kid version. So it's really, really good. It's really good. And my kids take it. My 2 girls that are above 4, they take 2. And then my 2-year-old and 3-year-old, they just take 1. So I just split the dose in half, no problem. And I know they're getting some really good things that are bioavailable for their body. Okay, it's important to give our kids supplements and vitamins just to boost their systems and immune system. I also give them PB Assist Junior. These things are really good. They're really good. So David and I like to eat them as well. So sometimes they're a treat for the kids and sometimes they're a treat for us. They come in these like little pixie stick looking type packages, and I usually just cut them open with a little bit of scissors, and you just let the powder go in the mouth. So these are double encapsulated, and they're just really good for our kids. Probiotics is really important. We don't get the bacteria from the foods that we eat anymore, and so for adults and kids, probiotics is really important. And I do give this to our almost 2-year-old. He loves it. I just do it for him. What else? Let's see. We do take vitamin C daily in a powder form or a liquid form, and I just put it in with their omegas, which is this, the IQ Mega. It comes with the A to Z, and this is really good omega fats. Now, this is brain food for our kids. This feeds their brains. Even as babies, I give them a little bit of this, and I just do like a little medicine syringe and do like a little tiny bit, and I just squirt it in their mouths, and they think it's just fantastic because it's flavored like wild orange. But this is really, really good. Now, little extra tip, if my kids have a tickle in their throat or they're coughing or something like that, I actually use this as a base for a little syrup for them. And so I'll use this for my older kids. I'll use this and put some oils in there that really help soothe the throat and the cough, and I'll have them take that, and it tastes really good. So that's a great tip. Some other things, I always give my kids something, especially during the winter months, and this year especially has been pretty brutal we really want to boost the immune system, right? A lot of people's immunity is down and they're just dropping like flies. And so we want to do echinacea. There's lots of different forms of echinacea, and elderberry syrup is very beneficial and helpful. And you can find that in a syrup. You can make your own, or you can find it in gummy form, which is really helpful. And my kids love doing things like that. So a day in the life of our family, morning oils for us. Every day I have a little bag that I carry around with all my spray bottles and roller bottles for my kids. And when we get up and I'm getting them dressed, we do our immune blend, which is for my older kids. It's On Guard and lemon and melaleuca and frankincense. So that's the immune blend. That's just an everyday blend. And then I have one that's like Immune Plus, and I combine On Guard, those same oils, lemon, melaleuca, frankincense, and I add arbor vitae, melissa, black pepper, and oregano. Okay, so that is like the plus. That is like, we have been exposed, our bodies need support now. Okay, and I spray that on their feet and sometimes even up and down the spine. And I do that when they wake up and when they get dressed, before they put on their shoes and things like that. I also like to always do a respiratory blend. We live in North Houston, and so sometimes with just the trees and the weather changes and things, you wake up a little bit stuffy or just have like a seasonal weather nose drip. And so I like to do Breathe, Lime, and Eucalyptus in a little roller or spray, and I spray their chest, just rub it in. And then I always like a mood oil, right, to start the day off. So for my school-age daughter, she gets In Tune, or Citrus Bliss. I also do Cheer and Balance, and sometimes I put those together in a little blend for them, and that's what I like to kind of start their day off with, something really uplifting and something that's going to help them focus, okay? So that's what we do in the morning, and then at night we do very similar. I do my immune blend, I do a respiratory blend to help them sleep through the night, and then I do the nighttime blend. Okay, so this can be different for different people. If you have a child that deals with night terrors or nightmares, things like that, there's going to be some different oils that you're going to want to use. Okay, so things like juniper berry is excellent for children that really deal with sleep disruptions. Just helps to calm them and helps them to get through the night. So that's when I use, of course, Serenity. Roman chamomile vetiver is very good at night. Cedarwood, lavender. You can kind of play around with the sleep oils and see what really works for you. And I recommend applying that to the feet, the back of the neck, a little bit on the chest, and then put those calming oils in the diffuser at night. A diffuser in a kid's room is a must, in my opinion. I just think that it's so helpful at nighttime and nap time if you still have kids that nap, really helpful. So, How do we deal with just certain things that happen? We all deal with it when we have kids. Things like temper tantrums, right? So for temper tantrums, it's really important to get in front of the tantrum, just like we would get in front of our immune system going down, right? We want to be preventative. So how can we be preventative with temper tantrums? Well, that's prepping for changes. So we're getting ready to leave the house, we're getting ready to leave the children's museum or the park or whatever, really prepping your kids a few minutes before that happens. And maybe even applying a few oils to them before that change occurs so that their emotions and their body are ready for the change, right? And those are things like balance, peace, serenity, and frankincense, actually. When my first daughter, Lily, when she was little, she had some epic tantrums. Epic. And so I would go and I would grab, I was brand new to oils, and so I would grab my frankincense, my balance, and my lavender. And I made a roller, and sometimes if I didn't have a roller, I would just dab my finger on the bottle and I would just rub her neck. And then I would hold her and I would rock her. And usually that would really help bring down that temper tantrum. So those are things that I definitely do. I have another daughter who really needs a weighted blanket. She needs that pressure. So either holding and hugging or getting a blanket or something with pressure to kind of put on them if they're in the middle of a temper tantrum can be really helpful. And that's really helpful for kids that deal with some sensory issues and things like that, which is really becoming a little bit more rampant these days, I'm feeling. Okay, so boo-boos and bug bites, that always happens, right? You can't leave the house without someone scraping their knee. Walking out of the house, so things I go to is there's a great ointment that doTERRA makes called Correct X. I love it. I actually use it for multiple things. Tip for moms, you can use Correct X under your eyes. Just saying. When you haven't gotten enough sleep and you need a little help, you can do that. It's really great. All right, you also, lavender, right, on the boo-boo or the bug bite or even burns, lavender is really good for. Melaleuca really helps to soothe it and clean it. Frankincense, and of course helichrysum is really important, but you want to do those oils that are going to cleanse the wound first before you do helichrysum on it. Now, what's great about Correct X is all those oils are in Correct X. And it's like, I think it's like $12, which is awesome. Also, it's great to have an essential oil keychain just attached to your bag with little vials of all of these oils. I've done that for years. That's great. And then I also have a little bag of all my touch rollers. Now, doTERRA has made these fantastic touch rollers for kids and for families and people with sensitive skin. They're all pre-diluted. So it's the lavender, the frankincense, the On Guard, oregano, oh gosh, what else? Breathe, Digest, and all those are pre-diluted, and you can get a little touch kit, and I love that. In fact, I carry all those touch rollers with me in my little case, so I'm ready to go, and we just have something for whenever something happens, which is all the time, right? So for growing pains, if your kid, wakes up in the middle of the night, and that's what we call growing pains, those aches they get in their legs, something really helpful is aroma touch. It's very gentle, and lavender. And what I do is I take a little bit of coconut oil in the palm of my hand and I do just one drop of each of those, rub my hands together, and I just massage up and down the legs and the feet. I've had to do that several times for Lily in the past few years. In the middle of the night, she'll wake me up and just will be restless. Her legs are hurting, and so I'll do that for her, and it's been really, really helpful. She loves that. So if you're in the potty training years, right, there's some tips that you can use for bladder control and helping to train the bladder for your kids who are trying to sleep through the night without wetting. And cypress oil is your friend. So you can take cypress and dilute it and just apply it to the lower abdomen before bed, right? And do that consistently every night. Now, if you happen to have a potty accident, which happens frequently, we're still dealing with them, then you can make a really great spray. It's just 2 cups of water, 4 tablespoons of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of borax, and then 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and then you're going to add 6 drops of lavender and 6 drops of any of the citrus oils. It could be lime, lemon, wild orange, even Purify works. That's a blend of all the citrus oils. And add that to a spray bottle and just spray around wherever there's accidents that happen, even on your furniture sometimes, right? Another great tip is actually carry your peppermint oil with you, and before your child gets on the toilet, you can put one little drop of peppermint in the toilet, and the vapors actually will come up as your child's sitting there, and it actually just encourages, your child to go to the bathroom. It's really, I've done it. It actually works really great. So I know it sounds hokey, but it works. It does. And then, of course, while they're sitting there, instead of having to read them books for an hour, maybe make them some aromatherapy Play-Doh. It's really easy. I think the recipe is just flour and cream of tartar and salt and olive oil and water, I think. And you just make it on the stove. Super easy. My kids love that Play-Doh, and it lasts a really long time. So, for focus help for older children that are in school to help them focus, like I said before, I use Intune on my daughter, but lemon is actually a really great focus oil. So you can apply that or diffuse it while your child's doing homework. Is really helpful. Also, rosemary and frankincense are really good for that. So sometimes one of my favorite things to do is diffuse lemon, rosemary, and frankincense when my daughter gets home from school, in her room or wherever we are while she's doing her homework or we're working on a project or something. For really pesky coughs that just seem to linger, some of my favorite oils, and I like to make a spray of this and a pretty big spray because I want it to last a while. So I also have a lot of chests to apply this to. I like to do a mixture of eucalyptus and breathe, Siberian fir, frankincense, lavender. Citrus bliss can be really good. Breathe, thyme, and rosemary. So I put all of those in a spray bottle, and that's what I use to really get rid of those lingering things that just, either it's excess mucus that's just stuck in there that just needs support and just leaving the body. Those kinds of things can be really helpful. For temperature support, sometimes that happens, right, when we need a little bit of support with temperature. I like peppermint, frankincense, and lime. Now, again, peppermint's that strong oil, especially when we're using it for littles, but in this instance, I feel comfortable using it for children that are above 1 year old, just to help to balance out that temperature. And again, it's very, very highly diluted, and I use it up and down the spine, on the feet, and that is very helpful. And we're using it on a continuing basis, right? Not just one application. We're going to apply it maybe every hour until we start to see a difference in support of the body temperature. Something else that I like to do for that too is lukewarm baths, but also adding Epsom salts. And then I like to add frankincense and lavender to the bath, sometimes even a little bit of aroma touch. And that's just one drop of those in the bath. And also what I like to do in the bathtub is add a little bit of like doTERRA's natural body soap or even Dr. Bonner's natural, something natural to the water. Helps bind with the essential oil so it can spread in the water. It's just a little bit safer for our children's skin. Ear support. So I think that's just kind of a rite of passage for kids, right? Because their nose are really small, the space from their ears to the nose is not very big, and so those recurrent ear issues happen anytime they get colds, runny noses, things like that. And so their ears can hurt and get a little bit stopped up. So how can we support that issue? Well, some oils are basil, melaleuca, and actually grapefruit. So what I like to do is I dilute a little bit of grapefruit and I rub it in front of the ears and behind the ears, and then I draw it down the sides of the neck because I'm trying to just massage and let the drainage start to happen. And I also do that with melaleuca and basil, and then during nap time or nighttime, because if you try and do this in the daytime, they just tear it off. But I get cotton balls and I put one drop of melaleuca and basil on them, and then I just set them in the ear. So I'm not putting oils in the ear, I'm putting the oils on the cotton balls and I'm setting them in the ear, and then I usually put like a Band-Aid or something to kind of secure it to the ear. and let them sleep like that overnight. And it does a great job of just helping to draw things out, just supporting the natural drainage process that would happen in the body. So that's great for your ears. So those are just the main things. There's lots of other things that we use for kids, and by experimenting, you're going to find things that work for you and your family. And so I encourage you to experiment. You've got, the techniques and all the tools at your fingertips. You know how much oil to use. You know how to put it in a roller bottle. You know the carrier oil. So experiment a little bit, and don't be afraid. There's a lot to learn, but this is good, and this is supportive for your kids and for your families. So if you've got questions about using oils on kids, I'm happy to answer them and help you walk through that process to make it really helpful for you. Oh, Blair says her 13-month-old son gets so excited when he sees the roller that she uses for his skin issue. It's lavender frankincense combo is his favorite. They can absolutely learn young. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Blair. It's really fun to see. It's fun because my kids now think that they can just apply anything to the bottoms of their feet. So I caught my daughter when she was really little applying the applesauce pouches to the bottoms of her feet one time. And it was really funny. And I thought, well, there you go, teaching them young. You're so welcome. Okay, you guys have a great night. Good night.